Hi everyone, welcome back to Grandpa Mark's Hobbies, build update number 2 of our AMT 66 Fairlane kit. I'm really starting to like this thing, so let's jump right into it here. Big week. We got Rob even came by to cook dinner for everybody, so how about that? We got Doug still taking pictures, and Lori with Jake, and Wayne is over here trying to figure out what Angry Spock's up to underneath there. TJ and Chandler are still at it, trying to get that engine just right. And Daisy and Tim just hanging out for the night, waiting for the burgers to be ready. Now let me get the engine out the way here real quick, because I want to talk about this body. You can see I got somewhat of a shine on here, and I'm telling you, I'm pretty darn happy with that. I used our XF6, which is a very, very flat chrome. What I'm saying is it does not take to a gloss coat really brilliantly. So I'm really happy with how this all glossed up. And what this is we got 4 coats of, there's the furnace again, but that's all right. We got 4 coats of our Lifetone Hydro Mist. This is the 200 gloss, and this thing's really glossy, and I'll show you something here. This is with flat black, 1 coat over, or I'm sorry, 2 coats over flat black. And look at hey, look at that. I mean, you would not know that that wasn't flat black. So we're good to go there. So what I did with this is I sanded it real lightly with, I think it's 5,000 grit sandpaper, just to take that fuzz off that I got from the airbrush. Flat kind of does that with my, just the way I spray. I don't know if it does it for everybody, but it sure does it for me. So I did that, and then I sprayed it with 2 really good coats of the Hydro Mist. I let that sit for a full day, and then I came back and I gave it a good wet sanding and let it sit to completely dry. The next day I came down and I gave it 2 more coats of the Hydro Mist. The Hydro Mist. And then I let that sit for another full day, and I came down with the Tamiya's polishing compound, and I started with coarse, and I did 1 full shot with coarse, and that really started bringing up the luster pretty darn good. And then I did fine over top of that. I did fine twice over the whole thing, and when I say that, I'm including the hood. So after that, I wiped it all down. I cleaned out as much of the cracks and crevices and all the little fine spots, and this is what we got. So I'm going to take this as a win over top of that chrome, or over top of that copper. Now, I did do something different than I said I was doing lately, and that's in, I'll bring it up, the panel lines. For some reason the pencil just wasn't getting dark enough, so this is Gundam panel liner black that I had for when I was doing my Star Wars stuff, and I think it looks good. I think it looks real good, especially with the chrome or the copper. So once that was done, and I let that dry for another day, so we're into it for like a week now, working around everything else I'm doing too. I started painting the other day. I came home and my hands were just rock steady with the brush, so I started painting the chrome on here, and I did my windshield wipers and made sure I got down real close as I could to the body, so they look 3D there. When I was done with that, I came back, and I hope you can see that with the rubber black, I painted just the tight edge here with a rubber black and a .2 or a 02 round brush. Just took the edge of it and ran it in literally from the underside and ran across there just to get that edge for that. And that worked out good. I've done that before, and I'm going to do that from now on. I got the door latches painted chrome silver, the locks painted. I forgot to do the locks on my fire truck. I did everything else on there chromed, and I forgot to do the locks. And nobody said anything, so I win. They're painted now, I guarantee you. The Fairlane came out. Let me see if I can get that in a little bit of a shadow. That came out really good for me. On both sides. I won't cheat, I'll show you both of them. And then on the back, the Ford logo came out pretty good, or the Ford came out pretty good. The hood came out pretty good. Best I can do, I'll tell you that. That came out real good, and that's a point, or I keep saying point. It's a triple aught brush that I got many moons ago off of Amazon, and it's really held up well. So when I was doing that, I came in. I did the firewall. Let's turn it around. You know, not a whole lot to paint on the firewall. My camera's buffering like crazy tonight for some reason. But what I did too is I took my pencil and I highlighted all the wires everywhere, and that makes them stand out a little bit over top of the semi-gloss. I'll show you on the front too here. See, it just kind of stands out a little bit. And I looked online, and this was titanium gold and gloss black, and then I painted the plug gloss black, and then just the wires were the pencil. No big deal, but I think it looks really good, and that titanium gold really looked good underneath that. So I'm glad I looked online for that, just because I wasn't sure what color that was supposed to be. So I was still having a good day, so I went in and I did my my door panels, and I looked and looked, and online I saw 3 cars that had the squares, and with those, the outer square was all pleated and the inner square was chrome. So that's the way I opted to do this one. I got the ashtray in the back, I did the window cranks, and the little chrome piece up here. When you build yours, you're going to notice that says Fairlane on there. So I'm going to let that dry for one more day, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to hit it really light with like my black panel liner that I dip on a Q-tip first to suck up most of the panel liner. And maybe I can get that to where we can actually read Fairlane on there. But it's there, so it's pretty cool. Steering wheel came out real good. I'm real happy with that. No problems whatsoever. It was easy because the lines are prominent, and you can get in there with that 0.3 millimeter brush. Really did a good job for me. I really got into it. The dashboard, I did all this in one night too. The dashboard is all hand painted. That came out good. I still have to do the gauges, and I have to put the green on the radio. But other than that, like I said, they stick out enough to where you can get in there and do a good job with it. And then my center console, and I'm not done yet, but I'm going to brag a little bit here because I'm really happy with that. And you can see it here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a picture of it right here. That's that center badge. It says GT in the middle, and it was red on the top, white on the bottom. And all I did was use my clear red and clear blue on there, and that worked out really nice. So there's that. We're cooking along here. It took me a long time to get all this going. And then the engine, man, is this engine nice. I'm going to bring it down here a little bit. Let's hope that this camera keeps going here. I got all the wires on that I'm going to get for right now. Dipsticks in place up front over here. I used Accel yellow because Lennis called me out not using it the last time. He knows I really like the Accel yellow. You can see that color by or power by Ford there that I was talking about in the last update. That came out really good. But look at how nice that carburetor is. Stock carb, nothing, nothing but paint and panel liner on there. I didn't add a darn thing to it. One thing though, the directions or the instructions, depending on whether you live in Northeast Ohio or not, show that carb on there backwards. So you have to flip it around and I had to force it in there to make it fit. But that's the way it's supposed to go, and I did check my sources this time, because the last time I did it, it was upside down. It looked like a dang smile face, and it bothered me until I ripped it off and made it right on the other model. Alternator, I did throw in the LA Awesome, and then aluminum, flat aluminum did. I made a bracket for it. I should have spent a little more time on the bracket and made it come over and in and over instead of just kind of getting it in. And when I realized what it looked like, it was already glued in there. So, there it goes. So we're good for the rest of this. It already was dried in there, and I didn't want to rip it out and mess things up. The belt, you can see I put the little lines on the belt, and that's good. The belt looks good. I mean, everything, the detail is really good in here. The fuel pump, the oil filter looks great. I'm thinking it's pretty neat to have the radiator hose already on there. I still got to do the chrome on the or the aluminum on the end here, but I kind of like that. The exhaust manifolds dropped on there nice and tight and easy. The vents, so there's no need to put a PCV on there since it's got the vent right there. I do have a hole drilled in the carb, you can see right there, for my linkage and spring. I just haven't made the spring yet. And then on the other side you can see the fuel line and the vacuum advancer run. This is pretty basic engine. I'm not going to do a whole bunch of stuff, but I will have, you see the hole right there for the heater hose. I'm going to run heater hose. I still have to drill it in the fuel pump. It just wasn't glued on there tight enough, and I thought it'll be easier to drill it glued on there than to drill another hole in my finger. So I waited until that. But everything came out great. The starter, though, the capacitor for the starter is supposed to be almost straight up, and there was no way that was going to fit underneath that exhaust to where it looked right. So I just kind of gave it the tilt. It's still going to drop in there fine. It's not going to get in the way of anything. So it'll be good, but that's the way it is. And it looks weird because it's tapered. So I don't know. I still don't know Fords that much. So I do a lot of research. And speaking of that, if you want to take a picture of this thing or pause it and take a good look, firing order is right. And I did use the aftermarket distributor that I had. I love those things with the holes pre-drilled in there. Coil, I did the yellow top on the coil for the Accel, and then just panel line the transmission. I still have to drill the holes for the transmission lines, but that'll be down the road. I'm not worried about that until it gets laid in. But with that, we're just, like I said, we're cooking with gas here. Let me bring it back out. This took me most of the time just to get this the way it is right now. I'm not going to lie to you. There is a couple of good hours in that trying to get that copper to look the way it is. And I really wanted the brown metallic look that this gives. So I had to just put up with it. And I'm happy I did now. This will, it's got a good enough shine and it'll look good outside for sure. But I really wanted that. I was hoping it would come out that way. But I didn't want to keep adding layers to it because then I'd start washing out my details. So that's where I went with that. But with that, got a kind of quick video tonight. I'll let you go until mid next week sometime. We're starting our Facebook group build, which is Mopar. So if you're not signed up over on Facebook, on Grandpa Mark's Hobbies Facebook page, then like I said, go over, sign up, because we're going to have the Mopar group build start August 1st. August already. But August 1st, we're going to start that. I got 2 Roadrunners that I'm going to work on at the same time, which should be hilarious, because I always say I don't do 2 kits at once. I really, really try not to. But I want to do a before and after on this. So go ahead and hop over there, sign up. If you're not a member here, sign up. Give me a thumbs up if you can. I'd really appreciate it. And throw me a comment or whatever you're thinking. And I'll guarantee that I'll try to get back to you. So with that, y'all have a great night, better tomorrow, and a fantastic weekend. Thank you very much for watching. And I'm out of coffee. I'll see you next video.